Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Professor Natalie Games. I'm Dr. Natalie Van Duzen. I'm a professor at the University of Alberta, and I'm a scholar whose research focuses on Old Norse language, literature, and culture. Apologies for a little bit of a time gap between this episode and the last one. I was invited to give a guest lecture at the University of Wisconsin, my alma mater, and I have just generally been busy. And I'm very happy, though, to be back here. I think that this will likely be the last of the God of War reaction videos. I will, as I said, do some further videos where I react to the Mimir boat stories and do some general retrospectives. But I think that this is probably where I am going to wrap up the Valhalla DLC. Thank you, as always, to the amazing Cleansed in Fire for providing this game footage. I literally could not do this without you, and I'm so thankful for all the time that you took in recording these videos and editing them down so that it's a storyline and putting everything, especially in the DLC here, into sequence. So we are going to dive back in and wrap this thing up. Let's do it.
You found the pendant of a necklace. Fancy.
We'll tell you the pendant story soon.
The pendant you found, brother. Do you recognize it? Does it have some significance?
Yes, it belonged to my wife.
It was Faye's.
No, my first wife, Lysandra.
Ah, I see. You know, brother, you've told me a great deal about your daughter, Calliope. But her mother is a bit of a mystery.
My thoughts on her are complicated. But she was a good woman, and I loved her more than she knew. She saw in me possibilities I could not at the time. In that way, she and Faye were much alike.
Your first wife, Lysandra, you said she saw possibilities in you that you didn't.
She suggested I did not have to be who I had chosen to be. That the carnage and suffering I inflicted on those my army conquered was a choice. That there was another way. I refused to see it then, thinking it was my duty to annihilate all that stood in the way of the Spartan Empire. I believed leaving foes alive simply invited potential uprisings later, that enemies could never be turned to friends. I was wrong.
Lysandra was clearly important to you. Why did you say your feelings for her were complicated?
Because she was a good wife, and I was not a good husband. I refused to listen, to heed her advice. I commanded armies, had responsibilities to them I thought greater than those to her. But that was hubris and ambition. The truth is, it never even crossed my mind to consider her advice or needs. So, when I think of her, I can only see my failures. She deserved better from me. And that was long before my oath to Ares led to...
All that was to follow. I understand, brother.
Ah, Hercules. Of all the half-brothers you've ever murdered, he was one of them.
Kratos, you mentioned a half-brother. Hercules.
He too was a son of Zeus. More like me than I care to admit. A powerful warrior, yes, but driven by an uncontrollable rage. He was jealous of me, thought I was Zeus's favorite. So, when the gods tasked him with 12 labors, he gave himself a 13th, killing me.
Instead, you took his life. Do you regret it?
No, he was dangerous. He wanted to be god of war for every reason but the right one.
Good. Credit to you for knowing the difference. Get this out! Stop, Kratos. I yield.
Hard fought.
Let's see what your mind has worked out.
When the evils of the box were purged, what remained was hope, which you chose to release back to the world.
Yes. After everything, you came back full circle to sacrificing yourself.
My death would have been just, but it was not to be.
Yes, you lived, and hope still lived inside you, from that day to this one. One might say you brought hope back to these realms after a long slumber. Box or no box, Kratos. Hope and fear and love and hate exist in every one of us. The question is, which will you choose to let guide your actions? Each choice we make shapes our world.
I see the truth of it.
And
I believe I am ready to walk through that door.
excellent.
What can I say to you? I remember how it felt to take that throne. All that it meant. And all that it did not. A god of war. God of pain. Of suffering. Of destruction. And Owen said I chase redemption that I know I can never deserve. What does that make me? God of fools. A god of... hope. When all else is lost. You lost everything. And everyone. You became... There is no forgiving you. You chose! I chose. But now, should I, this same man, should I sit, take, proclaim, lead, place myself in service? In service? Should I lose everything and everyone? There's to be enough left inside so that I do not become you. I do not know. But I have hope. You are cruel and arrogant and selfish. But you are more than that. You have always been more than what others saw. You are more than that.
Looks like I missed everything. Did you find what you needed? Glad to hear it, brother. We're done here then, so, what now?
Now, I believe I would like to sit here for a while.
Well, okay, so I think first of all, one thought that occurred to me is that is probably the most I have ever heard and seen Kratos speak in any one segment that I've covered. And it's been so cool to watch his transformation from where I saw him start at the beginning of 2018 until now at the end of the Valhalla DLC. And I love that this entirety of the DLC has been focused on him having to look inward and confront his demons and confront his past. So, and I know that so many of you have been playing this game since the beginning. I've only sort of watched and read some of the recaps, but it's really cool to see where he has ended up from here. And I am super excited to see what the game creators do next. I think that there are so many different routes that they can take, and I hereby offer myself as a resource if in any way you do want any expertise. I have been in touch with some folks from Santa Monica Studios, and I know that you had people that you consulted with in previous games, but I'm here if you need me, and I love what you've been doing with the material. There's not much to say in this last little bit that's related to Norse mythology. One thing that it did sort of bring to mind was this common theme of men who are given advice by their wives and who often discount that advice. They're given this sage counsel, and oftentimes it is the right advice, and they don't listen to it, and they basically, they end up with bad things happening to them because of it. Whether that was because that was what was fated all along, that's another story. But when he was talking about his first wife and about the advice that she gave him and how he didn't listen, that called to mind a number of instances in the sagas in which that happens. But in that case, it is a little bit of a different story because it seems to be more within the realm of fate is going to do what fate is going to do, and there is nothing that can be done to change it. So, not exactly the same, but I love that no matter how far we sort of stray from Norse mythology proper, there are still some themes and different things that it calls to mind as we go. So there's really not too much else to say. I would love to know how it's going with Atreus right now. I would love to know a little bit about Mimir's journey through Valhalla. I would love to know what's going on with Freya and some of the other characters who survived Ragnarok. And I really do hope that we will get to see more. I very much also ship Kratos and Freya. I think that that would be a fantastic pairing, and I think that that would be a relationship that would be fulfilling to Freya in a number of ways as a new kind of pseudo mother for Atreus. These are all just things I've been thinking about. I would love to know what it is that you would like to see as the games move forward, whether they stay in the Norse world or go elsewhere. What else do you hope that they're going to do with these Norse characters? I'd really enjoy hearing more about that, especially before I do my general retrospective, because I have my own thoughts, but I'm sure that there are a billion things I've not thought of, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. So please let me know, and I will try to come back as soon as I can. It is midterms time right now, so I am knee deep in marking exams and all of that, but I will be back on here as soon as I can to do the boat stories and then to do my general retrospective before I move on to another game. So as always, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoy coming and doing this, getting to react to this game, and once again, without Cleansed in Fire, I wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you so much for everything that you have done to help make this possible for me, and please join me in thanking him for providing all of this amazing gameplay footage. So we wrap that up, and I will be back again soon. See you next time.